Tonight, a federal appeals court has denied a motion to release 2 of the 4 men in a public corruption case ahead of trial. The appeals panel has affirmed a prior ruling to keep Richie Gonzalez and Jack Olson in custody as the case moves forward. Former Omaha police officer Johnny Palermo and Omaha City Councilman Vinny Palermo will also remain in custody. Their prior appeals for release were denied in June. The 4 face fraud and public corruption charges connected to their involvement with the Latino Peace Officers Association and the Police Athletics for Community Engagement charity.